Good morning. I'm Jay Langston, the Executive Director of the Shenandoah Valley Partnership. Welcome to our SVP Forum this morning. This is going to be a hybrid program, and we are going to be talking with our guest, who is Nina Fox. She is the Economic Development and Tourism Director for Page County, and Mark Stroop, a longtime friend. He is on the supervisor. He's a board member of the supervisors in Page County, and he's also a board member for the Shenandoah Valley Partnership. We recorded some of this show beforehand, and because of logistics, we're going to set up who we talked with, and then we're going to talk about some additional things through this show. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Nina, because where we did our recordings was a beautiful museum, and I'll let you describe it.
Oh, thank you, Jay, and thank you for having us. So absolutely. We hosted the interviews at the Shenandoah Train Station Visitor Center in the lovely town of Shenandoah, Virginia. They restored, it used to be an old train.
It was a feed mill at one time.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. So it has a lot of historical values. They've really done a great job in the downtown area of Shenandoah to revitalize those buildings. And with the influx of tourists that we have in Page County, they thought that it would be a great resource to offer it as a tourist center. Mm-hmm. But it's much more than that. It's a place for the community to gather. It's a place to hold small meetings if you'd like. It has a very industrious vibe, and you can also watch trains rolling by actively. It's an active switchyard, and I apologize for not knowing more about trains as I should. Our residents in Shenandoah might be a little ashamed of me right now, but it is a phenomenal location, and we're really proud of it at the southern end of our county, having that there.
Yes, you're going to see it in the background. It is a beautiful facility, literally. The rail yard, the Norfolk Southern Rail Yard, and the main line is out of the back of the property here.
Yes.
For this recording, it's something that we wanted to let people know that Shenandoah, although it is one of the top ag producing localities in Virginia, there's also a lot of industry there. Mm-hmm. And there is a great story that you are about to see. It is Jeff Vaughn, who runs KVK Precision. An amazing story with him, and without going into great detail, I'll let the interview of Jeff speak for itself. It is a pleasure to have you on our program this morning.
Pleasure for the invite.
Yeah, very happy to have you here. You are the founder and the CEO of KVK Precision Machining. I didn't get that exactly right. You can probably correct me.
KVK Precision Specialties Inc.
Specialties Inc.
Yep,
Thank you. That's the reason you have the experts on here.
That's okay.
Tell us about the company. And as always, we were talking before we start the program, and you learn even more interesting facts about someone. And Jeff has a great history of how he got into doing what he's doing and then founded the company, and he's had great success, and we're going to talk about that.
Well, amazing enough, to do it here in Shenandoah, my ancestors actually came from the railroad background. Worked here. My great-grandfather was the superintendent on the N&W Railroad back in the day. And because of that, my family resided here. And so I was born in Petersburg, Virginia, but because my dad was in the Navy, then we migrated back here when I was 3 months old, and I've been here ever since. Went to the local Shenandoah Elementary, Page County High, graduated in 1976. And when I was 17, I started, it was then Vaughn's Machine Shop. And just me and a bunch of...
Now, repeat that. You said you started it when you were 17.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep. Went down the street here to a local bank. It was then Virginia National Bank, and the commercial loan officer there was a big guy by the name of John Adams. And went in and sat down and spoke with him and told him what I wanted to do. And he said, do you have any collateral? I looked in and I says, what's that? Okay. So I was just still in high school, getting ready to go to college and serve my apprenticeship with a tool die maker, and just, life was in front of me. So anyhow, long story short, he lent me $25,000, and that's when I got started, and it was probably one of the toughest decisions I made in my life. But it was a great one. So anyhow, we was able to do that and build it. Actually, the first shop I built a house that the lower level was machine shop and the upper level was where I lived, and that's where we got started at. And at the same time, I served all my high school days at a shop by the name of Shenandoah Machine Shop, and the owner and founder of that was Russell Comer Jr., which Shenandoah Machine Shop's still in business also. But I hung out there growing up. And basically, he had to run me out of there. He said, "You need to do the things that the normal teenage boys do, you know, like chase little girls and all that kind of stuff." But I was interested in making things, always making things and creating things. So I was blessed and fortunate to be able to do that. That's what got me to where I'm, at in life now. But was able to do it here in Shenandoah. Great environment as far as community. The folks around here, their work ethic is phenomenal. And even though over the years it has changed, like in everything in society, but we built, and what I say a lot of times, we built a monster because we have 270,000 square feet of manufacturing facilities here in Shenandoah, which consists of 5 different buildings. We have about 125 CNC machine tools, which that stands for computer numerical control.
Yes, and yes, please explain all of that because I happened to look at your website and download all of the equipment, and oh my gosh, from the time that you have started to almost 300,000 square feet and the growth and the list of equipment that you have. It's
amazing. A lot of my customers come here and say, "Why is this in Shenandoah?" And I said, "Well, why not?"
Question. Yeah, why not?
But it is a great place to run a business. Once you train a qualified workforce, you don't have to worry a lot about them going down the street, jumping jobs. Even though we do have competition here in the valley, like Merck and Company and Coors, they're 2 big companies that basically I've trained a lot of their workforce, and and that hits a small company real hard.
Not necessarily intentionally.
No, that's right, but that's reality. So you got to go with the flow and make it happen. There's always, when one door closes, another 2 or 3 will open up. So that's the approach. You got to always be optimistic and hit it straight ahead.
Jeff, you hit a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. First of all, I cannot imagine walking into a bank as a 17-year-old and getting a loan for $25,000. I hardly knew the way to a bank when I was 17, and mostly it was the bank of mom and dad at that point for me. Yeah. But that is an amazing leap of faith on your part. I remember you saying also that you were training some at Blue Ridge Community College and so forth. So you just had it innately with you, but you have grown this to a point where you have clients of all sizes. You have Fortune 500 companies to smaller shops.
Right.
Yeah. How did you do that? What were the resources that were here to help you?
What's amazing about running a business? Number one, it's all about people. When you employ people, you have to know what their true capabilities are, and by doing that, then you can then go out and sell your services to companies. I'll give you a quick story about Purdue and Bridgewater. There was an engineer there, a process engineer. His last name was Long. But anyhow, they were in the process in Bridgewater, Virginia, of putting in processing for pre-cooked Cornish hens. So they had some vacuum molding machines from Germany, but they didn't have any tooling for it. Mm-hmm. So a guy by the name of Miller Long came to me and he said, we need these molds to process these packages to the market. And he said, "Can you make them?" I said, "Sure, I can make them." I said, "But I could be a lot quicker if I had more advanced software, and it would help me get from the part to the finished product real quick." So anyhow, we got a couple Cornish hens, brought them over, and put them on a coordinate measuring machine, and we scanned the chicken, believe it or not. And we took that and put it in geometric DXF files, and then created the geometry to cut the aluminum molds to create the package. And what the deal was on, he said, "I need it within 2 weeks." And from Germany, it was going to be like 4 to 6 months. So anyhow, we did that. We did it in 2 weeks. I went over and helped install them over in the Bridgewater location, put them in production, and they was happy campers.
I was going to say probably a customer for life because you were able to
Yeah,
turn
they
around
were,
and
and-
pivot so
and-
quickly.
Exactly, and they never forgot that. Matter of fact, Frank Perdue at the time wrote me a personal handwritten letter thanking me for that service. And that's pretty neat, you know. I think I still got it hanging up on the wall in my office, but anyhow, that's some of the stories that I can relate to, because the thing about machining, it touches every aspect of life. When you get in your vehicle, you wouldn't be riding around in if it wouldn't be for a machinist. You know, it's just
That's right.
whenever anything turns, you know, and the customer base we have now is like General Electric, Dana Corporation, Ingersoll Rand, Johnson Controls, Daikin International is some of our big players, Belvac Corporation in Lynchburg, Virginia. And we do a lot of work now for Temkin Corporation. And they're one of the world's largest builders of precision bearings. We'll do bearings for them up to 80 inches in diameter. So my challenge today is keeping an apprenticeship going on in our facility to train both men and women, young or old, whatever, you know, if they have the ambition, you know, I'm ready to train them. The key to me is getting somebody to come through the front door that has patience, the ambition and desire to want to learn a high level skill set position. And we've been able to do that successfully, and we're still, and that's still the challenge. I mean, I could hire 20 machinists today if I could get them, you know. So the difficult way today is get them when they come out of high school, let them go or send them to a 2-year program at a community college and then put them to work full time. You know, and I employ like machinists, tool makers, process engineers, mechanical engineers, and those kind of jobs. And you know, and we're very proud of that. And in addition to, you know, KVK that's here in Shenandoah, in 2009 there was a guy by the name of Norm Oldbird that owned a company in Fishersville, Virginia by the name of Objective Industries. So I purchased that company and then turned it over to my daughter, in which she's the CEO of that now. And she has like 18 employees there, and that's right off 64 in Fishersville, not too far from here, about 45 minutes. But we also have a high skill set level there. They just do more highly precision, smaller components than what we do at KVK. So it's been an amazing trip. You know, like I was telling you earlier, I just turned 64 in March, and what a great place to spend a lifetime, you know.
Well, and you are really wrapping up in something that I appreciate that you were alluding to throughout, maybe not intentionally, but it is so important to the community that we serve, and that is that quality of life that you can achieve here. And it is more than just the job. Yes, the job is what allows you to that, to enjoy that, but it is the other assets, you know. It is the beautiful, you know, geography and the nature of Page, the town of Shenandoah and the valley, and then it's the amenities that also, you know, while, some people may not have liked the noise, that's music to the ears for some of us, you know, in many ways, and it really has a positive impact upon the community. And no doubt how much KVK has added to that with all of your continued investment and growth.
Well, I will tell you, it's a great place to raise a family, and I've been blessed with a family, and with both a son and a daughter. Son's in education, my daughter's in manufacturing, but it's a great place to reside and do that. And another thing that I do also to try to give back to not only Shenandoah but to Page County. I'm also an elected official as a board of supervisor here in District 5 and represent that. And you know, saying a lot of times if you can't beat them, join them. But the point of it is,
I like that, by the way.
we want to be able to make very positive business decisions for the constituents of the county. Very focused on keeping the tax base low, but also be able to provide the services that the citizens need as far as safety and just a healthy community. And a lot of times people take that for granted. You know, we have board of supervisors meetings. The only time people in the area will attend meetings is when there's something that's going to happen in their backyard, and they get upset about it.
Yes.
And you know, they need to look at the positive side of it as far as what can be created. And I'm going to tell you, Page County is right there on the cutting edge of a lot of opportunities in this county. And our location is great, as far as relative to Northern Virginia, to Interstate 81, 64, 66. We sit right in the middle of that hornet's nest, and we need to capitalize on that.
Absolutely.
And it just takes, one of the things, if I could create right now, is we need, in my opinion, we need more entrepreneurs.
Jeff is speaking my language, as you can well imagine at this point, but it really is. You're the voice of business for the board. We really appreciate that. You've also, though, really put your money with what you're saying into the community with millions of investment in this, and so it has made a tremendous difference, and we appreciate so much your representation of having that voice for business so that they can understand, you can only enjoy this quality of life if you have the jobs available.
Hey, that's right.
That and then the business is what helps balance out the ability to have the services and everything that our citizens want, particularly if you're putting kids in the K through 12 system.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate the folks from Economic Development of Page County and yourself being from the partnership, inviting me here today. It gives me a great deal of pride and respect to be able to share my story. And if anyone ever wants to learn more about manufacturing, I'm at 425 Quincy Avenue in Shenandoah.
Say that to the camera.
Tell them 425 Quincy Avenue in Shenandoah, Virginia, and the one and only industrial park that we do have.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Jeff, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Really appreciate you joining us today, and
take care.
really appreciate what you do for the community, both from a business and an elected standpoint.
appreciate it.
My follow-up to that video is that I was able to tour KVK Precision 2 to 3 weeks ago, and it is 270,000 square feet of the most incredible equipment around. And while that was playing, we were talking about KVK, and Nina remembered something that talks about the tolerances. Could you want to articulate what you were talking about that was in their break room that really describes the industry here?
Absolutely. So precision is not just in their name. I mean, they are meticulous in everything that they do. And one of the things I found really interesting when I was touring their facility is in the break room, there's this just very small 8x10 printed out image of a hair follicle. Is that what you would call it? And it pretend that was maybe a 3-inch diameter circle. And their goal is to have the precision down to 1/10 of that. And so just to kind of exemplify what they want, KVK competes, some of the most amazing metal precision works comes out of Germany, and they compete at that level. And just really wonderful to know that resides here in the Valley and in Page County. And we're just really proud of that business and Jeff and his dedication to our community and his business.
Yeah, Jeff did a great job too of talking about how he is doing work all over the world from the town of Shenandoah and Page County. Let's talk about something else now that is really near and dear to your hearts, and that is the ag sector.
Yes.
Here. You are in the top 5. I think you're number 4.
Number 4,
right?
that's correct.
And in ag production, output here. Tell us about, sort of the ag side of business, both of you, either of you, because that will be a perfect, intro to our next guest that we'll interview.
Well, Jay, I'm fortunate enough to sit on the foundation board for the Tech Center, and we're talking to the EDA about putting a program in there for training for meat processing facilities. And there is a whole lot of meat in Page County that needs to be processed. And at the foot of the mountain this morning, as I was coming over here, the feed trucks and the cattle trucks and the chicken trucks, and if it's raised there, I think we could create jobs and income by having the slaughterhouses and stuff in Page County on a much larger scale to bring more jobs and revenue to the county.
Well, that's a good thing to talk about, because that is a target for you. That has been something that have been working on, correct?
Yes.
Because right now, and I think this is an issue that's common to your neighbors as well with Rockingham and Shenandoah, a lot of the produce has been, the cattle have been shipped out,
Yeah.
So
am I right?
Yeah, can I jump in here?
can.
I don't want to
By all
interrupt you,
means.
but you're absolutely correct. So Page County, we're actually providing tonight the feasibility study to our Economic Development Authority, which our Ag Subcommittee under the EDA commissioned. We're really proud of the work. But there's over 22,000 head of cattle in Page County. And
Oh my gosh.
right now, the two largest meat processing facilities in our region is Gore's and T&E. But it's sometimes a year to 18 months to get a spot, and that's creating a big backlog and almost the bottleneck that we're facing in the cattle industry. So a result of that, a huge portion of those 22,000 head of cattle are being shipped to Pennsylvania. So it's a revenue loss, not just to our locality, to our region, but to our state. Because once it's processed in Pennsylvania, packaged and sold, the sales tax then is the benefit of Pennsylvania.
I hadn't thought of that.
So this is why it's not just a local initiative to help with job creations. We want to preserve farming without mandates. So how else do you do it? Make it profitable. And we want to solve this solution for our ag industry, not just Page County, but regionally, and why it's important for the state to get involved, because there's tremendous amount of revenue derived from sales tax. And that loss, not just if you take Page County as an example and you multiply that by the other areas. I mean, the Shenandoah Valley, we have 4 of the top 5 ag producing counties in the state in the Shenandoah Valley. And so the goal with this processing plant is to not just serve our needs,
Right.
but to be a regional solution.
Yes.
Long
And-
story short, let's get those trucks coming back to Page County full
Full.
instead
Yes.
of empty to haul out. So, yeah.
That really is the bottom line,
It
isn't
is.
it?
Well, and the thing is that it really ties into our other economic leg, which is tourism. And food and spirits are a huge portion of tourism related, industries that really sync well together. And, we hear of Napa Valley wines. Well, why not Page Valley beef? And that's really kind of the thought process behind it, and beef is really a sought after product. Chefs from all over the world, our East Coast actually seek out our locally grown beef because we have beautiful, rich soil. Our farmers really know the recipe to produce prime quality cuts. And we have some great new restaurants that have just recently opened up. And, they take farm to fork to a new level. And it's just really, really exciting. And we believe, marrying those two industries together in Page County will make it more unique. And the meat processing facility, not to get too into the weeds at this point, but we're looking to be more than just meat processing. It's the value add. So having like a smokehouse, having longer hanging time and things like that. We don't want to compete with Gore. We don't want to compete with T&E. We want to be a value add to the current system that's there. And we all know that there's enough head of cattle right now, just cattle, and that's not looking into other species of protein, but that alone we just feel will be a great complement to our community.
Well, you did a great job of setting up where we're going
Yes.
with our next recording. It's with an interview with Dennis Fleming. I'm going to let you introduce Dennis, and then we will go to the recording.
Sounds perfect. Well, Dennis is from your district too, though, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and Mark's district is District 3 in Page County, which is, it's probably the best ag land in Page County, to be honest. It's just really, really beautiful. Dennis and his family had a little market for many, many years, and some of you may know it as Fairview Grocery Store. Him and his wife decided to sell that business a couple years ago, and he's really focused on agriculture. He has a small little farm that they produce all different type of berries, and then they freeze dry them, and he really sees the technology, component of agriculture and moving forward. But in his heart, what he loves is farmers. And so we collaborated after an APHID grant in a roundtable session and came up with the idea that we need an ag-focused committee. And so Dennis is the chairman of that committee and has been just wonderful in leveraging his connections and his network of farmers in Page County to get us to the point we're at. So
Great.
yeah, Dennis is a great asset to Page County.
Thank you. Okay, so now you're going to see Dennis and Nina being interviewed by me talking about some of these things. first of all, this phenomenal facility, which tourism is so important to Page. I'll let you speak about that. And then the ag, y'all have a lot to talk about. So I'm kind of going to just turn it over to you to let you lead what you would like to talk about, because we had such a great conversation before we started the program. And I just it kind of altered where I thought we would go. So take it away.
Go ahead, Nia.
I love that about Page County, right? And I think that sentiment is shared whether you're here for business or pleasure or education. It's so much more, right? And I think that's, we can sit here and think all day long about what we're going to talk about that's unique to Page County and what Page County represents. But the overall theme is always so much more than what meets the eye. And I love what Jeff said about entrepreneurship. It is in our blood, it's in our network, it's in our fiber of everyone that's here, and we believe in that entrepreneur spirit.
And spoken by someone who is one.
Yes.
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Well, yeah. And and that's just, it's a part of the reason why I came into this role is being a small business owner, being a part of a family with small businesses here. Just the importance that economic development has and tourism on our community. And Dennis can speak to that too, because he's also owned several businesses here in this area. And,
That's right.
And particularly the agricultural side, it is in its very nature entrepreneurial.
100%.
It most definitely is, as Page County is the number 4 county in the state of Virginia in agriculture, which was rather surprising to me when I found that information out. But if you drive around the county, you can see it.
Yes.
We have a large beef production in the area. Poultry is large in the area. And then also we're getting into some more small fruits and vegetables and things like that as well. So it is a highly, it's got a lot of agricultural resources. Yep. And as an agricultural subcommittee, we're going to try to explore how we can keep and preserve agriculture in our community and incentivize it.
I think that is a great focus. We recognize at our level that agriculture is what made the valley. The valley.
Yes,
food
it is.
and beverage, and you look at the long tradition and the farmer and that philosophy of working to make the living and get a better quality of life. And not that we have taken it for granted at our level, but it's always been there, and it's kind of, in the background. And I like the fact that you're taking this to the next level of, look, we not only need to celebrate this, but what can we do to make it better?
And I think that, one of the perspectives that's really interesting, and I've really witnessed it firsthand in this role as Economic Development and Tourism Director, economic development historically has been perceived as like industrial development, manufacturing, like Jeff, which is huge components to what makes a state vibrant and economically stable, its workforce. But the thing that we have to realize in so many other communities like ours, and Page County is kind of uniquely positioned, like Jeff said, we're inside these major corridors, 66, 64, 81, where we're really kind of like the last little frontier, and everything around, everything around us is growing in an urban manner, and they do have a lot more industrial impacts to their economies. But economic drivers don't always have to be necessarily manufacturing. They can be tourism, it can be agriculture, and they can be married, and they can create
that's exactly
something.
what I was just saying. The marriage between agriculture and tourism can be great.
And very, fruitful for all of us concerned. I mean, you think about one of the things that we're taking a very active approach with agriculture in Page County, and just like so many of our other rural communities. And we are a little bit frontierish, right? Because we don't like people to tell us what to do.
That's right.
And so the whole goal is to, Dennis put it perfectly, when he said without mandates, but incentivizing farmers. And how do you incentivize people to keep their farms farms, create an avenue for them to be profitable.
Yeah, that was one
And-
of the things that I wanted you to talk about is that because we want to preserve the farms, we want the next generation, and we know that there is a balance in growth and that things are going to change, but because that's such an important base for particularly Page County, as large of a producer as you are, how do you what are you working on?
Well,
what are the things
right
you're
now,
doing about- sorry to interrupt you,
No,
Nina,
you're
but
fine.
that
Yeah,
was
that's fine.
exactly
We're
a
both like,
segue.
we're going to say something, I can tell.
We had a county meeting that was funded by grant money that the farmers, they all came together and wanted to talk about things that was needed in the valley. So one of the issues that came up was there's not enough processing facilities to handle the need for beef cattle processing. So Nina and I both kind of thought, hey, maybe that's something we can look into. So we are in the process of introducing that to the county possibly through a feasibility study to see how things are going to. We're in the middle of that. Matter of fact, next week I think we're supposed to have our final report.
Yes. And
Go ahead.
Yeah, so Dennis is absolutely right. We were able to leverage a grant, an APHID grant, and it gave us an opportunity to really look intimately at our community in farming. And we noticed there were a lot of gaps and there was a lot of areas that could be improved. And like Dennis said, meat processing, it's essential. But I think it's also important to people to know it's not just because of these trends with farmettes and that it's a beautiful landscape. It's essential.
Yes.
We have to eat. And during the pandemic, and in every storm, there's a silver lining. We realized some of our deficiencies as a nation and how much we are dependent on some of the major meat processing facilities. And when they shut down, the impact it can have on smaller communities. Page County historically has been part of the breadbasket for Virginia.
Yes.
We're large, and like
Yes.
Dennis said, the fourth largest ag producing community in the state. We feed a lot of people. So it's not just about preserving farmland, but it's also about providing a necessity, essential that people need to live. But the really, really amazing part about this is that Page County produces a beef like nobody else. And it is. And, we feel like from the tourism and the marketing side of the house, you think about Napa Valley wines. Well, why not Page Valley beef? We really do.
Good
we
point.
have,
That's right.
and they're in the tourism world. Food and spirits and are all part of that experience, and we can provide that. And we can, and Page County's proximity geographically located not just to those major corridors, but in the tourism world. If you're within a day travel, you are a potential tourism destination. Page County geographic location is within a day travel of 60% of the United States population.
Yes.
And we're very easily accessible and we're a very beautiful place. And we have two major national attractions, the Shenandoah National Park, the Luray Caverns. Also, we're the cabin capital of Virginia, so we have great unique opportunities for people to stay.
I don't know if people heard that. Did you
Yeah.
want to say that again?
Cabin capital of Virginia, yes.
right.
And we're very proud of that. And
Yeah.
the thing is it's not, Page County started with short-term rentals years and years and years ago. This is not new to us, just like some of the Airbnb fads and short-term rentals. This is a proven, industry in our community. We have several, hundreds of locals that have invested on their own properties, built cabins, and really see the positive advantages of it. And we're very blessed to have people in positions that have created ordinances that provide and promote a quality experience.
And I think you just said something. There are a couple of things I want to backtrack just for a second because you mentioned the APHID grant. I do want, and most of our audience probably on this understands that the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, VDACS, does a phenomenal job in the Valley, and the APHID grant is both a planning and an implementation manufacturing type grant. So you can do the planning with the money, but then you can also incentivize companies to help them take that next level. I wanted to throw that out. I remember you telling me about the cabins and all of the rentals, and I had no idea. You threw out some statistics to me a month or so ago, and I was blown away. Put that into perspective, Nina, about just what that does mean to the county. And it goes hand in hand with the agritourism
Yeah, exactly.
that we're talking about, that you're mentioning too. They go together.
On-farm markets, when people come to stay in the valley, they like to go to these little on-farm markets. And if we had a Page County beef, that would be an attraction for the Northern Virginia folks to come and visit and pick up something local. Local food is highly sought after, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger trend.
I mean,
Instead of the
farm to
big,
fork.
yeah,
I
farm
mean,
to fork. Instead of the big box stores like Walmart and all those places, it's best to buy local, and
What-
we're seeing that.
Which we still love, of course, and they have their different roles, but even our local like food line that's part of the big box
Yeah.
chains, they're starting to
starting to
sell
purchase.
locally
Yeah,
produced,
right.
items. But to the lodging perspective, Page County, like I said, we've had a stronghold on the short-term rental industry for many, many years, and so basically, some of the statistics I was sharing with you, our average occupancy nightly rate in the Page Valley area is about $297 a night.
that has to make some people weep
It
when they hear that kind of,
And to
average.
give you a context, the average short-term rental on a nationwide perspective is only about $150 a night. And in most situations and in most localities, the occupancy of a short-term rental rate does not eclipse a hotel. And in Page County, it does.
Oh,
And
well over.
It
yeah.
well over does. And it's not a slight against any of the hotels, because the hotels we have are beautiful. It's just that these are lodges, they're chalets, they're riverfront getaways.
They're mountain cabins
they're
and stuff like that.
They're
So that's-
beautiful, and it's not just like throwing up a little bitty cabin
Yeah.
somewhere. There are people there with vested interest that care about the guest experience. And even here in Shenandoah, which is so neat because it has this very industrial vibe, and you visit Shenandoah and you're like, you can feel the buzz. They have 11 short-term rentals here in their town, and one thing that makes Shenandoah
Really?
so appealing, it's a river town. I mean, we have our own little mini Savannah up and coming here in Shenandoah. And
right.
we've talked. In our office, our role is to not just help our local business partners, but also our towns that are in Page County. And we say that we have it all in Page Valley, basically. So if you want that like historic mountain town with the downtown and the retail space, Luray's got it covered.
Yeah.
I mean, it is awesome for that perspective. Stanley really embodies that agriculture spirit, that very deep-rooted community sense. You walk into the grocery store and you know everyone that's in there and you say hello. And Shenandoah, I mean, it has this like fantastic tourism, industrial vibe, up and coming. They have a new apartment complex being built. They have job opportunities. Their proximity to Harrisonburg is like 15 minutes, 30 minutes to Charlottesville. I mean, it's really right here in this super growth area for the valley, and a lot of opportunities, I think, for people locally and people outside to come and invest in our community here. And I feel like there's a million things we can talk about. How long do we have? Because I want to talk to you about tourism and development, but also we really want to focus on agriculture too.
Well,
the rural nature is important to keep, because that is the attraction. I think the Luray Caverns is one of the biggest attractions in Page County and the Shenandoah National Park.
Yes.
So we have two beautiful things there that brings people here. And then also I'm finding that more and more people are searching out things local, like local honey, local beef, local chicken, poultry. With what was the farm friend?
Farmer Focus.
Farmer Focus,
Yeah.
yes. For
It
example.
started up over in Rockingham.
Yes.
Right? So, and I think we have growers in Page County that are involved in that. So, we can also start the processing outfit maybe for beef and pork and others, and then add value added things along with that.
Well,
we
and
can
that's
do a
such
lot
a good
of things.
point.
Yeah.
We're not just thinking. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Okay.
I think you're going right
Yeah.
with what I was going to say. You're trying to build out the entire infrastructure for the
Exactly.
ag as well.
Marketing as well, and then even going further, possibly, is maybe smoking our own bacon and creating our own brand. We hear of all
I'm
kinds of
starting to
brands.
get hungry now.
Well, I know. That's exactly. I stay hungry. So.
But I think one of the things that's really important, and kind of letting the cat a little bit out of the bag, and I don't mean to put the cart before the horse, but we need this information out there because we really want to create basically a joint venture and a joint partnership between public and private. And the only way that we're going to be able to really make this work for our community and our region is the public and private side coming together with this opportunity to really provide a resource to preserve essential things that we need, to preserve a culture, a way of life. Right. And so this really is we're at that point, and we're really excited with the numbers that have been.
You've got a couple of things going on in this regard.
Exactly.
We won't give away the details,
No,
but you can paint the big picture if you want.
Paint the big picture,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
We have a lot
That's
of
what we're
really
doing.
great numbers that support what we want to do. We have,
Well, in
essentially
the
we have great
agricultural,
support.
the Economic Development Board is very supportive of the subcommittee, and it's excitement every time we talk about our projects that are coming up. And we're not only talking about just the beef producing, but also in the farmers market era, the small fruits and nuts and whatever else we can grow and market. I think that this outfit, that if we get this up and going, this cooperative or public-private venture in slaughter facility, if we get that going, it's going to be the spark for other agriculture moves. Just to give agriculture in Page County a boost. And I think it'll keep our farmers involved. It'll get back involved those who used to finish cattle and find it not profitable now, that it's more likely that they're going to send it to an outfit out west to finish them.
Right.
We may get them back into business again. They may be feel like that's
And this would be a regional asset too.
Yes.
the other
100%.
thing.
Very much
It's
so.
not just for Page.
yeah.
It's for our number 1, our number 2, and our number 5. Top ag communities that are here in the valley.
Yeah, we have support from all the way, from Rockingham County, Rappahannock County,
Yeah. Across the
Shenandoah
mountain,
County,
yeah.
all over.
Exactly.
We've got people talking about it.
Great story. Let's kind of wrap it up with your big picture. We were talking about of what is economic development in Page. You've talked a lot about tourism, and you've done traditional economic development. But what's your vision, Nina? Where do you want to do this? And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think it's kind of all of the above, but I'll let you take it away with where you think, how the ag can be such an important for both the tourism and the business side, but where do you want to see it go?
Well, what I wanted to see it go is where does the Page County residents want to see it go? And their voice has been heard loud and clear. I mean, they love who we are, what we've been, and they want to continue to grow it in a way that's profitable and it makes sense economically. And, those two areas are tourism and agriculture. They really, truly are. We are not opposed to other advancement and other opportunities, and we have some vacant industrial sites that we'd love to fill.
Hint.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody looking, we have a 100,000 square foot warehouse facility, but we do have those things. But I think it just goes back to what we said in the beginning. We're so much more. And I think it's so important that we share that with not just locally, even our own locals sometimes need to know what all we have, but regionally, statewide, and beyond, because there is so much opportunity for growth if you just have that entrepreneur spirit. We want you in Page County. And, it just, we believe in strategic growth. And strategic growth right now is a major focus on agriculture. Right. And once that has a good, stable base, then onward and upward to other things. That is the initial focus right now, and we're really excited about it. And I'm a native to Page County, born and raised.
I'm glad you said that.
Yes, and it's hard for me to even talk about Page without getting emotional. I absolutely love it. And, we often talk about life and how things happen, and when you have the opportunity to choose this and how much you appreciate it, it's magical. And it really is a great place. And it is at that it's at that point
right.
of great growth, great explosion, but in a way that also preserves what makes us so wonderful. And that's what I'm really excited about for Page Valley and Page County.
That is a great wrap up. Okay,
Yeah.
we are standing in a beautiful structure. Let's end it there. I've already picked out my office. by the
Okay,
way.
yes.
Well, welcome back to our live portion of the forum. We have discussed some good topics to talk about to finish this up, but I really do, it was where we wanted to go, and I want to have the last portion of this devoted to what you would like to talk about. There's a lot of things going on in Page County. The tourism is certainly an aspect, and it's not just all about the caverns. I know that's very important,
Yes.
but I'll let y'all take it away with where you want to focus, what you're working on, and can you remember what we were talking about, Nina? I'm going to turn it over to you, and then Mark, I'll let you jump in.
Well, absolutely. I'll let Mark talk a little more about some of the local initiatives, but what we were sharing while the other clip was playing is really the importance of tourism. Tourism is a non-political, industry, which is really wonderful. It doesn't know geographic boundaries. Most tourists, when they travel, they don't think about that they're in this certain area or certain locality and this is where it stops. It really is an industry that brings people together. And that's the one aspect, many aspects of tourism that I love, but probably the one that I cherish the most. A couple weeks ago, you hosted a breakfast where you had the international team from VDP come in, and we were talking about some of the opportunities that we have in Page Valley. We have a golf course for sale. We also recently conducted a hotel feasibility study. The numbers came back fantastic. There's a lot of opportunity. Actually, we commissioned Hotel and Leisure, which is a group out of Chicago. They're world renowned for their work. And their question after the study was concluded was, why isn't a destination resort here? And I think that often people don't think about it because Page County is this small little rural community, but on the bigger scale, it's really quite impressive. And at that meeting, we met with our European counterparts, and they're very excited about sharing the hotel study as well as some of the properties that are available in our area with investors. And then also from Korea, which we know there's a lot of Asian influence, especially around like golf course and so forth. And just really wanted to thank you so much for that opportunity, Jay, because often places like Page County, where we tend to be a little more rural and we don't have many, some of the connections are not quite as developed. And this is why being a part of SVP is so important to Page County, because of those networking opportunities, because of conversations like we had that we wouldn't probably have been able to have given any other situation. It just really was paramount, and I'm excited to see what the possibilities are for that. And so thank you.
No,
Yes.
thank you, Nina. I appreciate that very much. Mark?
Page County, let me tell you why
Yes.
Page County, Jay. People still pull off the road for funeral processions.
Yes.
Okay? People still speak to you on the street and wave at you as they go by. I'm born and raised in Shenandoah. If I wasn't from there, I'd say Shenandoah, and now live in the metropolis of Stanley, and I love where I'm at. I can walk out on my back deck, see my dad's home place on Tanner's Ridge, and Mom was from the next hollow over in Honeyville, so the nut didn't fall far from the tree. And when I think about Page County, I think about community. I think about people coming together. Like any area, we've got our challenges, but when the chips are down and folks are going through some hard times, I've seen so much money raised about so many good causes. We're getting ready to build the playground there at Hawksbill Park in memory of Nick Wenham, Officer Nick Wenham, that we lost 2 years ago. There's a lot of new restaurants that are opening that are absolutely incredible. 18 of us went to the Gathering Grounds in Luray Friday night, and the food was awesome. And we won't ever have a Tasty Freeze in Stanley again, but we've got a wonderful coffee shop that is absolutely killing it. So a lot of good things going on. We need vision in Page County. What does tomorrow look like? So strategic planning and what we want it to look like. And we're starting to massage that ball and moving it forward. Our government does not move very fast, and that's frustrating for me because I want to get everything done yesterday. But we did approve a sign up on 340, an off-site sign for the technical center, so that folks realize that that program is there and what's going on. We've got Laurel Ridge College, higher education in the county, so just a lot of good things. We're seeing a lot of construction, a lot of new homes being built. The new campground out on 211 is going to be absolutely phenomenal. That's going to bring a tremendous amount of tax revenue to the county and TOT money, and we'll reinvest that back into our county to keep spreading the word and to increase tourism. But, you know, a conference center. Right now, the board is entertaining a sports complex with batting cages, basketball, and,
That's great.
it would be a huge boost, you know, with the travel ball and the train and stuff that the kids have got today with in sports. Just a great opportunity to give back to the community, something for the youth to do, and I'm pretty excited about that as well. But a lot of good things going on. The best is yet to come.
Yeah, Mark, and you and I met when I used to work for VDP.
Yep.
I think 2015, 2016,
Yep.
something like that. And I know that you have little patience for inertia.
Yes.
When it's not moving, but I do really appreciate what you have done for Page. You are a living example of making a difference there, and I like the direction that y'all are going. You know, supporting of Nina, and you know, where do you see this kind of fitting in? That's I mean, that's like predicting the future, but I do, you know, have interest in where you would like to be 5 and 10 years from now.
Well,
Either one of you.
okay. Well, I do want to say you're absolutely right. I'm a native also to Page County. My family is amongst the first 2 original settlers to the Page County
Used to
area.
dove hunt on her dad's farm
Yeah.
before she was born.
Yep.
Yeah. So you
I
know,
love these connections here at the Valley.
Well,
That's
they're-
exactly.
Yes, and that's it. It's all about the connections. And I think one of the things that sets Page County on such a pedestal, not just because I'm from there, but in my own personal opinion, is the connections, right? And we have a great board of supervisors and town councils that care about what their residents want. And I think that's what makes Page County so special, is that they listen. And it really truly does embody what we want as a community. And Mark did hit on it. It's strategic growth. We want growth, but not any and every growth. You know,
I think that's an important distinction as well, that you recognize that.
It is.
it is important, but it's also important that as a local government that we identify areas that we may have failed at. And that is like through certain ordinances and some changes for like land use in certain areas where we want industrial growth or where we would like more residential growth. And those things we can do really effectively. We're looking into that. That's actually one of the big initiatives this year moving forward, is to really identify growth zones. You know, comprehensive plans have been mandated by the state for years, and often places like Page County, where we're limited on staff, we just kind of check, we did it. And there's a lot of thought, and I'm not discrediting where the comprehensive plan is, because it was really done really well years ago when it was first written. But we want to take a much stronger look at that and understand what it is that Page County wants to be. And what we don't want to be. You know, tourism is my main area of focus, and that's why I talk so much about it. But there is a lot more happening in Page County other than tourism and other than agriculture. We have 2 really large manufacturing facilities, Masonite and Anderson. We are working on a project. I mean, this is how involved our community is. So we have a private industry, Masonite, who has suffered challenges of some of its wastewater. And we are looking at solutions where collectively between the town of Stanley, the county, and possibly the state and the private enterprise can work together, cover the cost, and fix some of these solutions. We would love to recruit businesses, but it's so important to also retain those that are there.
Exactly.
Help them to expand.
Exactly.
My background in private sector was business development, but often it wasn't just about acquiring new projects. It was how can we grow what we have internally, and it's much more economical.
It is. That is exactly right.
It really is, and like Masonite's a prime example of that. And we are focusing on workforce and in relation to workforce, we're really focusing on housing. And that's where economic development has to be flexible, that we don't just get caught up in the idea of business recruitment, but what are we doing as a community to promote business growth? And then briefing our supervisors in ways that they can implement policy to help grow that. And we're really taking a hard look at that as well.
I am so glad to hear
Yeah.
you say that, because that is so many times the message that I try to convey to folks, that if you are not working with your existing businesses and don't have the right business climate for them, how in the world do you hope to attract new businesses?
Jay Wrangler just gave the Tech Center $25,000 to go toward a welding program.
Right.
And they're investing back in our community. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, that is a huge. Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's a big grant.
That'll pay for the sign.
For the
Well,
sign.
actually, it's got to go toward a welding program, but welding will be on the sign.
And that's a good important point. I mean, we need a welding teacher.
We do.
We do at the Tech Center, but this goes back to the connections, right? It's what our community needs. It's what our business needs. What do our residents want? We have a welding program that's pretty much filled up for the next 2 years.
Absolutely.
And the welding teacher, I
Yes.
want to call him professor. I feel like he should be a professor, but
Instructor.
really is needed. And so, and it's important for industry to realize that investment in our trade schools, because these are the people that will produce our future workforce. And so if anyone out there has someone that they could recommend that would be a great fit for Page County, we'd love to hear from them. I know, Mark, you have a direct connection with the technical center, correct?
Yeah, I've sat on that board for the last 7 years, and a lot of good things are happening at the Tech Center. Dog Walk Park, first dog walk park in the county, is just about done.
Yeah.
And when I thought dog walk park, when I was business development with Nielsen Builders, we built one here in the city of Harrisonburg, and I thought them little dogs are going to get jumped on by them big dogs. And it's amazing how they all get along. Little dogs on this side, big dogs on this side. So just something else, because, a lot of people are in apartments and things and can't let their dog freely run. And of course, that's at the Hawksville Recreation Center as well. Built a new stage and pavilion at Ed Good Park for the Stanley Homecoming. I think this is our 56th or 57th year coming up. Everybody washes their feet and comes to town, and we have carnival and live music every night, and the new stage is absolutely incredible. We've got some great bands booked for this year, so it's a 4-night event. So just, and that's a part of tourism as well. A lot of
It
people
is.
come back home for the homecoming.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, and I think I've heard it best described as, the tourism assets too, are the assets that our citizens get to enjoy every day.
Yep.
And I'm so glad to hear you talking about these things, because these assets are part of what are the quality of life, in the community and in the valley, and is becoming so important now when we talk about retaining our talent, the young people, and having then the jobs and the places for them to live there.
One of the most exciting perspectives from economic development that I've witnessed, and we've actually showcased it on a couple Why Page County videos that talks about quality of life, is the boomerang effect. I'm an example of that. When I left Page County a few years ago and I went to work in DC because I just felt I needed to go spread my wings and work somewhere else. But when I found out my husband and I were going to have our daughter, I was like, I just want to go back home. And we're experiencing that really at amazing levels. And people do love the quality of life. And Page County offers that in such in almost a spiritual way, right? Like, you can't go anywhere else that the mountains are so beautiful and the people are so great. And obviously, I'm completely biased.
You're
but
biased.
Yes, and but we just it really is a great place to live, and it's a wonderful place to work. And with the broadband initiatives, our local one of our local media outlets just put out what were the best things that happened in this previous year to Page County. And I thought it was so interesting that every single one of those initiatives came out of Page County administration. And it just was government doesn't always, get to put a feather in their cap. And so I'm just really proud of it.
So you're proud of this one in particular.
Well, and I think it speaks volumes that our Board of Supervisors trust our county administrator, Amity Moeller, who has gotten behind her department heads on a lot of these initiatives. She's brought a lot of initiatives herself to the table, and we just really go after it. The broadband project with All Points is really has a lot of potential to open up a lot of doors for Page County in areas where, like, fiber connected internet was not accessible, and now will be. And that, the world's changing. People can telecommute, and if you don't have broadband, you don't have
That's
that.
right.
You're just not going to be able to capture that audience. And we want it not just for our residents, but for future generations, and part of that 5-year plan. So, anyways.
We just invested in our new 911 radio system. I think we're up to 98% coverage in the county. And
Significant.
that's pretty tough over there in some of those halls and
It
those
is.
mountains. But
It is.
a great investment. When you dial 911, you expect red lights to show up. And we've had to do some things with our God bless our volunteers. Our fire departments are absolutely incredible in all 3 towns. They're strong, they're engaged, and they have to do a lot to keep their doors open. And all that's strictly volunteer. Our EMS, we've had to bring on quite a bit of paid staff. It's a challenge. If I wanted to join the Stanley Volunteer Rescue Squad, I think it's like 1,800 hours training and a bunch of money out of pocket to get your certification. And with people working outside the county, that's kind of tough to do. So we'd like to create some things where they could make a living, raise a family, live and play, hunt and fish right in Page County, Jay.
You did a great job in summing up of what we're trying to achieve on our Shenandoah Valley Living website. That is our companion website, because it is the balance of the quality of life and being able to live, work, play here, and serve too in the Valley, with the balance of the working portion making that happen. So if y'all didn't catch that, it's ShenandoahValleyLiving.com website.
What was it, Jay?
Yeah, it's the ShenandoahValleyLiving.com. There you go. Thank you, Mark, for that. Any parting words as we wrap up here? I really appreciate both of you showing up and your continued support over the time. Thanks for the great plug, by the way, in that. I didn't pay for that, but
No.
I'm willing to now.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Come to Page County, we'd love to see you. We got a new French restaurant in Stanley. It's called the La Hawksbill Diner. They have French toast, French fries, and French dressing. The Hawksbill Diner has been a staple out there. There's people that come from a long, long way away just to eat at that little restaurant. So God bless y'all, and y'all come see us.
I would never have been able to say that quickly, the French and stuff. Go ahead.
He's great, and we do, well, kind of on that note, in the quality of life and all that, we do have some different restaurant opportunities in Page County. So if anybody's feeling that need to become a chef or want to invest in a restaurant, we have plenty of, well, not plenty, we have several, though, restaurants that are turnkey ready opportunities and a great need. But we love Page County, and we're always happy to share with others what we have. And if you ever want a tour or you want to come and meet with us, we're always available.
Yep. And just call Nina. That's all you need to do. Well, we appreciate you joining us this morning. We hope that this has been informative for you in Page County and what the assets are and the things that you're working on and moving forward on, and it's an exciting time. It's really it's the passion shown by both of you is what's helping to drive things forward. So we appreciate it. So thanks for joining. We're going to end it here and look forward to seeing you in person the next time that we get together. So everybody, have a great day.